the leader of the rebellion. But if they've captured you... Oh gods, where are they taking us?
Alright, well, I don't necessarily want to skip over the scintillating dialogue, but also I've done this part like a billion times.
This can't be happening. This isn't happening.
Hey, what village are you from, horse thief?
Why do you care?
A Nord's last thoughts should be of home.
Rorikstead. I'm from Rorikstead.
General Talia, sir. The headsman is waiting.
Good. Let's get this over with.
Sure. Mara, Debella, Kinnereth, Akatosh, Divines, please help me.
Look at him. General Tullius, the military governor. And it looks like the Thalmor are with him. Damn elves. I bet they had something to do with this. This is Helgen. I used to be sweet on a girl from here. Wonder if Elod is still making that mead with juniper berries mixed in. Funny. When I was a boy...
Now, I'm not doing this completely unmodded. I still have some quality of life stuff installed, and a couple of mods I've just played with forever, so it would be weird to not do them.
Why? I want to watch the soldiers.
Inside the house. Now.
Yes, Papa.
But I do sort of want to get an experience that is more or less analogous to a vanilla playthrough.
Why do you think? End of the line. Let's go. Shouldn't keep the gods waiting for us.
No, wait, we're not rebels.
Face your death with some courage, thief.
You've got to tell them we weren't with you. This is a mistake.
Step towards the block when we call your name. One at a time.
Empire loves their damn lists.
Ulfric Stormcloak, Jarl of Windhelm.
It has been an honor, Jarl Ulfric.
Ralof of Riverwood. Lokir of Rorikstead.
No, I'm not a rebel. You can't do this.
Halt!
You're not gonna kill me.
Archers! Anyone else feel like running?
Wait. You there. Step forward. Who are you?
Who indeed? Okay, so this is character creation. I'm gonna try not agonize over this too much, but for purposes of this run-through, let's talk a little bit about each of the races and what they offer. So Argonians, so to start out with, each race has a different sort of set of starting skills that they excel at. It doesn't really matter in the long run. They just start out with some advantages and disadvantages compared to different races. The things that really matter when you are choosing your character are the abilities and powers that you get that are racial in nature. So, Argonians. They are naturally resistant to diseases and poisons, and they have the ability to breathe underwater. They can also call upon the hissed skin to regenerate health very quickly. Man, this loads so slow. Bretons are the best race in the game because they get a, well, not flat, but they get an unconditional 25% resistant to magic. And everything else is basically whatever, because that's the important part. I think it would actually be prohibitively long to go through all of these because of how long the animation to load is. Maybe it's only when you, like, go from Argonian to something else. Naturally resistant to fire. Call upon their ancestors' wrath to surround themselves in fire. I think that for the purposes of this playthrough, we're gonna go with a Nord. Skyrim belongs to the Nords, etc., etc. Can, of course, play as a man or a woman, depending on what you want. Got your usual set of presets here that you can choose from if you don't want to go super hard into messing with sliders. Most of this is just cosmetic, though I think that there are a couple of things that sort of matter in terms of how far you can reach with a weapon. You can be old or you can be dirty if you want. I don't want to be either, to be honest. You can also have cool scars if you want. The character creator in this game, even without much intervention from mods, is fairly robust. It's not perfect, but right. On stream, so let's not spend too much time on this. One interesting thing is that you can actually give your human character elf eyes if you want, where they're all weird and monochromatic like that. To be perfectly honest with you all, I could spend hours in here, but let's not do that, and that would be a waste. This will probably be the first instance of a mod I have installed. I like having lots of hair options, so I installed a mod that lets you have lots of hair options. These options are not as good in my opinion. Like, I appreciate the work that went into them. It's just that the really glossy look to them, it just doesn't match up with how everything else in this game works. You kind of need some other mods to go with it so it doesn't look ridiculous. That's sort of beyond the scope of the stream at the moment. Let's go with the Brady look. I'm feeling extremely creative today.
You picked a bad time to come home to Skyrim, kinsman. Captain, what should we do? She's not on the list.
Forget the list. She goes to the block.
By your orders, Captain. I'm sorry. At least you'll die here, in your homeland. Follow the captain, prisoner.
Ulfric Stormcloak. Some here in Helgen call you a hero, but a hero doesn't use a power like the voice to murder his king and usurp his throne. You started this war, plunged Skyrim into chaos, and now the Empire is going to put you down and restore the peace.
What was that?
It's nothing. Carry on.
Yes, General Tullius. Give them their last rites.
As we commend your souls to it.
I do, in fact, have a plan. I have a very detailed plan.
Of Talos, shut up and
Earth of Nirn, our... As you wish.
come on! I haven't got all morning.
In fact, you might even call my planned out route to be somewhat optimal. I mean, it's probably not completely optimal. I haven't done, like, math or anything. I'm sure that there are others who have, done better, but... Chop!
You Imperial bastards!
Justice!
Death to the Stormcloaks!
As fearless in death as he was in life.
Next, the Nord and the Rags.
Here it is again. Did you hear that?
I said, next prisoner.
To the block, prisoner. Nice and easy.
Fools! I could slip these binds and kill you all in an instant! In maybe a couple of levels. Oh, game? Hello?
What in oblivion is that?
Sentries. What do you see?
It's in the clouds!
Get the townspeople to safety!
Hey, kinsman, get up! Lord, the gods will give us another chance. This way!
Rayloff, you wanna move? Fine. First things first, I need to... Where are my key bindings? Come on. Thank you. God, why is this game so stupid? Okay. Sorry, caps lock is my push to talk key at the moment. So I needed to change that. Alright, that should be good for now.
How does it move so fast?
please.
What is that thing? Could the legends be true?
Legends don't burn down villages.
We need to move now. Up through the tower. Let's go.
So, hello. Usually there's fire breath there. This is quite the action-packed beginning to an Elder Scrolls game. Most of the time, it's not quite so exciting.
Hemming, you need to get over here now. Nada boy, you're doing great. Turo, make me proud. God, everyone get back. Still alive, prisoner? Keep close to me if you want to stay that way. Gunnar, take care of the boy. I have to find General Tullius and join the defense.
Gods guide you, Hadvar.
This is arguably one of the more intensive parts of the games, just in terms of, burden on the computer.
Quickly, follow me.
Into the keep, soldier! We're leaving!
It's you and me, prisoner. Stay close.
My Ishmael, nothing kills him.
Bela, you damn traitor. Out of my way.
We're escaping, Hadvar.
How does it move
You're not
so damn
stopping us
fast?
this time.
Fine. I hope that dragon takes you all to Sovngarde.
You,
How
come
in
on.
oblivion do we
Into
kill
the
this
keep.
thing?
Let's go.
Generally speaking, I usually go with Hadvar here. There are a couple of reasons why. Mostly it has to do with who you befriend by doing it. You become friends with the blacksmith of Riverwood when you do. And that can be useful if you want to get right on the making things train. Alright, so this is just ambient sounds mod I have enabled that makes things sound nicer and more immersive.
Looks like we're the only ones who made it. Was that really a dragon? To bring us in the end times? We should keep moving. Come here. Let me see if I can get those bindings off. There you go. Take a look around. There should be plenty of gear to choose from. I'm going to see if I can find something for these burns. You better get some gear.
Yeah, I know. So a couple things to note right off. I have a couple of yeah. I have a couple of mods installed. So I have Sky UI, which is basically core.
You better get that armor on.
Like, if you're playing this on the computer in the year 2018 and you're not using Sky UI, what are you doing with your life?
Give that sword a few swings, too. Let's keep moving. That thing is still out there.
Of note, I have the Unread Books Glow mod, which is just kind of useful. It helps keep you from picking up useless shit. And it makes all the books look magical, so that's kind of nice.
We need to get moving. That dragon is tearing up the whole keep.
Just give me a minute. I'm out of breath.
Hear that? Stormcloaks. Maybe we can reason with them. Hold on now. We only want to...
this is the first fight. We have to kill either... Thank you, game. Some Imperials or some Stormcloaks, depending on who we decided to go with. They're easy to deal with.
If I can get that door open. Come on, this way.
So for the purposes of this playthrough, I am going to focus primarily on two-handed weapons. There are a couple of reasons for that.
Damn, that dragon doesn't give up easy.
What are you doing? We need to get out of Helgen, now!
These Imperials have potions in here. We're going to need them.
Where'd you come from? Lucky. An old storeroom. See if you find some potions. Might come in.
Looting shit from dead bodies is a fairly central part of this game, as well as managing your inventory weight and whatever. You should be selective in what you pick up. Well, you technically can just pick up everything and then sell it in town. There are a couple of reasons why that's not necessarily a good idea.
Done then? This way.
I wouldn't say that shields are for cowards. It's just that shields are weird and finicky, and I don't really like the way they work.
Hear that?
Also, it just kind of complicates things.
You fellows happened along just in time. These boys seemed a bit upset at how I've been entertaining their comrades.
Don't you even know what's going on? A dragon is attacking Helgen.
A dragon. Please, don't make up nonsense. Although, come to think of it, I did hear some odd noises coming from over there.
Come with us. We need to get out of here.
You have no authority over me, boy.
Didn't you hear me? I said the keep is under attack.
Forget the old man. I'll come with you.
Wait a second. Looks like there's something in this cage.
Don't bother with that. Lost the key ages ago. Poor fellow screamed for weeks.
See if you can get it open with...
This is probably one of the major mods I have installed for this run-through. Mostly it's just, okay, so we've been dealing with this stupid lockpicking minigame since Fallout 3. That was literally 10 years ago, and they haven't changed how you fucking pick locks. So, fuck it, I'm just gonna cheat.
Thanks. We'll need everything we can get.
Sure, take all my things.
Grab what you can and let's go.
Quick save early, quick save often. This is a Bethesda game, and things could blow up at any minute. Either literally or figuratively.
Where in Oblivion are we supposed to go? Where's the way out?
Just give me a minute. Let me think.
Won't take us alive.
Kevlar, there's no need to be rude.
I'll make you pay.
All right. See if we can find a way out. I better stay back and see.
Sorry, Murphy's kind of going ballistic at the moment, so I'm trying not to talk too much so you don't hear him barking.
Let's see where this goes.
So before we get any farther, let's go over some basic UI stuff. You can use the F key to favorite things. When you do, you can hit Q to bring up the favorites menu. This generally just saves some time and button presses going through menus when you want to change your equipment. It's pretty useful.
I guess we're lucky that didn't come down on top of us. We better push on. I'm sure the others will find another way out.
Do your best, skeleton. Alright, so, you might notice that the frostbite spiders look a little bit different than they should. The reason for that is I know that there are a lot of people with fairly severe arachnophobia that just fucking hate these enemies. As such, I have decided to just go with this very silly mod that turns them into Spider-Man.
That'll teach you to cross me. What next? Giant snakes.
Forgive me if this ruins anybody's immersion, but I just wanted to be considerate.
Hold up. There's a bear just ahead. See her? I'd rather not tangle with her right now. You might be able to sneak by. Just take it nice and slow, and watch where you step. Or if you're feeling lucky, you can take this bow. Might take her by surprise. Go ahead. I'll follow your lead and watch your back. Not the sneaky type, huh?
So basically, this little dungeon in Helgen introduces you to most of the basics of the game. It sort of skimps on magic, but every character does start with flames and healing, so if you want to mess with that, you can.
This looks like the way out. I was starting to wonder if we'd ever make it. Wait.
Yeah, you better run!
Looks like he's gone for good this time. But I don't think we should stick around to see if he comes back. Closest town from here is Riverwood. My uncle's the blacksmith there. I'm sure he'd help you out. It's probably best if we split up. Good luck. I wouldn't have made it without your help today.
You can follow Hadvar if you so desire, but you can also split up. Generally speaking, I prefer to split up because I don't like dealing with followers in this game. They're really annoying. They get in the way. They get mad at you if they run into your swings. It's impossible to sneak with them around. So we're finally out on the overworld of Skyrim, this lovely big place that still looks pretty good even after all this time, just because, you know, pretty landscapes are hard to fuck up. Alright, so here are the Guardian Stones. These are standing stones. At any given time, you can have 1, or 2 if you have a special thingy. Standing stone bonus is active. And I would say that these 3 are probably the best, especially early in the game, because they make your skills go up faster, which makes you better at things and die less. We're going to go ahead and take the Warrior Stone, because we are a Nord warrior of great honor that uses a warhammer, or maybe a war axe, I haven't decided yet, it doesn't really matter. Warhammers are technically the strongest weapons in the game just in terms of raw attack rating, but they're also slow.
You picked a bad time to bust, friend.
We've yet to find a helmet, so I might as well just put the hood on, even though I'm not going to be casting many spells. Most of my playthroughs start with a trip to Embershard Mine. There's some useful things you can pick up here. Including some mushrooms for alchemy if you're into that sort of thing.
Someone there? Over here!
At your back, huh?
At the beginning of the game, opposition is fairly limp. Pickaxe is reason number 1 why I like to come in here. It just... guaranteed spawn. I know where it is. You can pick it up early. Mine some iron ore for this place, which is useful. You can actually just interact normally with an iron ore vein or any ore vein to get stuff. But I prefer to swing because I'm impatient and kind of spastic.
What's the Nord without his mead?
Time to end this little game.
We always want the honey nut treat. The Steel Warhammer is a whopping 2 points better than the Iron Warhammer, so we might as well take it.
Time to end this little game.
Now that's a useful find this early in the game. Hide bracers of minor alchemy. That is one of our unofficial objectives for this part of the game. We want to find as many items with enchantments as possible, because we'll need them later. Much later. They're not actually useful for quite some time. Alright, this is a skill book. I have a mod installed that instead of making you compulsively read them every time you find them, you can actually just pick them up and put them in your inventory. Hello! I would recommend this mod for basically anybody. It's just one of those nice little quality of life functionality things. Oh good, we leveled up. Now I can start talking about that. This is just original 2011-ass Skyrim. I don't know how mods interact with the special editions, so I just figured that I would go with this one. They should be functionally the same. Alright, so this is our lovely skill tree. Each skill governs something that we do in the game, and we're going to be focusing mostly on the warrior skills. Smithing, heavy armor, two-handed, and archery. Every time we level up, we get a perk point that we can put into one of the various perks that we can get. Since we're going to be focusing on two-handed weapons, let's go ahead and put a point in Barbarian so we can do even more damage with this ridiculous Warhammer that's probably a little overpowered for this point in the game. Now it should be noted that leveling up is a little bit weird. Every time you choose to level up, you can put 10 points in stamina, health, or magicka. I chose stamina because two-handed weapons take a lot of stamina. Also, I like to carry things. But each level you go up also makes the enemies in the world a little bit stronger. So, it is in your best interest, as you are going through this game, to focus on the skills that will also make you stronger, because at the end of the day, a couple extra points in health and stamina aren't going to help you if you don't have good primary skills to do damage with. Oh darn, I'm carrying too much. Oh, you can always drop shit. Now, one interesting thing about the Ember Shard mine is that it has a fully functional forge in it. Sorry, wrong button. Anyway, if you have the proper materials, such as iron ingots and leather, you can make armor. We don't have enough at the moment. So the forge isn't really the reason why you would come here. It's more for the fact that you can get stuff with which to use with a forge later. Words. We will be spending a great deal of time over a forge in the future because that's kind of how you get strong, believe it or not. You need good equipment to do good work. With that little diversion out of the way, we should actually head to Riverwood proper.
Are you on leave from shores, boats? What happened to you, boy? Are you in
Uncle,
some kind of
please,
trouble?
keep your voice down. I'm fine, but we should go inside to talk.
What's going on? And who's this?
She's a friend. Saved my life, in fact. Come on, I'll explain everything, but we need to go inside.
Okay, come inside then. Sigrid will get you something to eat, and you can tell me all about it.
A dragon! I saw a dragon!
What? What is it now, Mother?
It was as big as the mountain and black as night. It flew right over the barrel.
Dragons now, is it? Please, Mother. If you keep on like this, no one in town will keep peace. And I've got better things to do than listen.
Who said that? I will tolerate no sass to dogs.
Sigrid, we have company.
Hadvar, we've been so worried about you. Come, you two must be hungry. Sit down and I'll get you something to eat.
Now then, boy, what's the big mystery? What are you doing here looking like you lost an argument with a cave bear?
I don't know where to stop. You know I was assigned to General Tullius' guard. We were stopped in Helgen when we were attacked by a dragon.
A dragon? That's ridiculous. You aren't drunk, are you, boy?
Husband, let him tell his story.
Not much more to tell. This dragon flew over and just wrecked the whole place. Mass confusion. I don't know if anyone else got out alive. I doubt I'd made it out myself if not for my friend here. I need to get back to Solitude and let them know what's happened. I thought you could help us out. Food, supplies, a place to stay.
Of course. Any friend of Hadvar's is a friend of mine. I'm glad to help however I can. Like I said, I'm glad to help in any way I can. But I need your help. We need your help.
We need your help. Here, take all of my shit. Okay.
The Jarl needs to know if there's a dragon on the loose. Riverwood is defenseless. We need to get word to Jarl Balgruuf in Whiterun to send whatever soldiers he can. If you'll do that for me, I'll be in your debt. Cross the river and then head north. You'll see it just past the falls. When you get to Whiterun, just keep going up. When you get to the top of the hill, you're at Dragon's Reach, the Jarl's palace. I see no harm in it, if you have the skill. The grindstone will improve your weapons. Use the table to improve your armor. If you've got the raw materials, you can use the forge to make something new.
Hadvar, did you really see a dragon? What did it...
You can talk to him about a bunch of other stuff for like fluff and whatnot. It's not really the point of what we're doing here today. So let's try and be snappy. As snappy as I can be. Which is not very.
Well, one of us has to do something.
I said no. No adventures, no theatrics, no thief chasing.
Well, what are you going to do then, huh? Let's hear it.
We are done talking about this. Oh, a customer. Sorry you had to hear that. Yeah, well, I don't know what you overheard, but the Riverwood Trader is still open. Feel free to shop. Trinkets, odds and ends, that sort of thing.
So Mr. Lucan Valerius is probably the first shop you'll find, and bartering in this game is, it's whatever. General traders like him tend to be quite valuable because they will buy anything. Regrettably, there's nothing at this point in the game that we can really sell for any real degree of profit, but if nothing else, we can offload some stuff from our inventory so we aren't quite so full up on useless garbage. We can also see what he has for sale, but usually it's nothing particularly useful. And if it is, it's too expensive. We can, however, take the iron ore, which is not expensive at all, and perhaps make some of our own shit with it.
trinkets, odds and ends. Yeah, we did have a bit of a break-in, but we still have plenty to sell. Robbers were only after one thing. An ornament, solid gold in the shape of a dragon's claw. You could? I've got some coin coming in from my last shipment. It's yours if you bring my claw back. Now, if you're going to get those thieves, you should head to Bleak Falls Barrow, northeast of town. Yes. So now you don't have to go, do you?
Oh, really? Well, I think your new helper here needs a guide.
No, by the 8, fine. But only to the edge of town.
These two are siblings, and they have a very strange relationship.
We have to go through town and across the bridge to get to Bleak Falls Barrow. You can see it from here, though. The mountain just over the buildings. Thieves must be mad hiding out there. Those old crypts are filled with nothing but traps, trolls, and who knows what else.
So it's better just to knock it out now. Are you gonna go any further? No? Okay. This never seems to work properly for me anyway. The tanning rack is a fairly important part of making things. Because a lot of weapons and armor require, funnily enough, leather straps and shit. Unfortunately, there is no smelter in Riverwood, at least none that I've found. So, we are going to need to just make do with what we have.
That's some good armor you've put together.
Well, thank you. I like it.
Take what you need, my friend. Within reason, of course. May the watch over your battles, friend.
Oh no, he stole the forge! You fool! I needed that! That's one of the things that's really annoying in this game, to me, is that, especially when you're trying to smith stuff, there will usually be another blacksmith character there who will just do nothing but get in your fucking way. And there isn't really a good way. Well, actually, you...
Mighty smear, if it's simple and strong, I can forge it. You looking for a new blade? Iron or steel is what you need. Leave that It's the elven stuff to the elves.
Okay. There's one more thing that I would like to do before we head out, and this is just me kind of being weird.
You're new around here, so I'll go easy on you. But don't get on my bad side.
I'm one of those people that really likes to...
We got rooms and food. Drink, too. I cook. Ain't much else to tell. All right, then.
You're that visitor. Sure thing. It's yours for a day.
Hard not to.
The ale is going bad. We need to get a new batch.
When he met the shield maiden Matilda, who said,
Did you hear me?
Yep, ale's going bad.
I guess you don't have potatoes in your ears after all. Just make sure we get a fresh batch in soon.
And so then came clashing and slashing of steel as the brave lass Matilda charged in full of zeal.
Usually, the innkeeper is good enough.
When his ugly red head rolled around on the floor.
To show you where your room is. But Delphine got distracted. And had to yell at Orgnar about things. Anyway, like I was saying, I enjoy having the well-rested buff whenever I can because that makes your skills go up faster. Which is, I think, a useful attribute. It only costs 10 gold, too, so, it's not exactly a hardship. So I think at this point a reasonable question to ask would be, why have I chosen the build that I've chosen for this playthrough? And the reason for that is that I think that it strikes a good balance of being powerful and also being just friendly to newer players. Two-handed weapons are simple, they're powerful. Oh, you went stealth and bows, I'm sorry for your loss. They're powerful. They kill things quickly. They don't require any really finagling like stealth does. You don't have to bother with shields, which are kind of weird. They're not bad, it's just that the way they work doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Especially when you start getting some advanced perks that say that they do stuff like guard against elemental damage, but kind of don't really. And shield bashing is kind of weird. Hey!
Damn you!
I guess it's mostly down to preference, but I just think that this is like the lowest maintenance way to play. It does, however, there's a trade-off. It's more difficult to use magic with this build. You can't really effectively use a spell sword build if you're using both hands to swing around.
Now ain't this a surprise?
Alright, now we got a full set of iron junk. That will mean that every hit we take will be a point towards heavy armor. Now, while I think that there are arguments to be made for going one-handed over two-handed, or focusing on bows or magic or what have you, I am pretty firm in my belief that heavy armor is just straight up actually better than light armor. Because yes, it is heavier, but fairly early into the perk tree you get the ability to just negate that. Here, let's take a look. thing is such a pain. Oh, well, actually, it's kind of late on. But you still get the conditioning perk, which means that the heavy armor that you wear doesn't actually weigh anything or slow you down. So you can, with some training, actually just ignore the whole downside to it and just get armor that is objectively more protective. There's also a couple of things about how smithing works that makes it favorable compared to light armor. Light armor also has the dubious honor being tucked away in the thief tree. So if you're going for a warrior build and you want to take the warrior stone, you won't be able to reap the benefit for that for your armor class because you won't get the plus 20% increase to your skill for light armor. And the skill increase stuff for the armor classes is actually fairly important because the only way it really levels up, aside from like training it with a trainer or reading skill books, is getting hit in the face. Which is something that you generally want to avoid. When your attack sort of bounces off like that, it means that they're blocking. You can actually block with a two-handed weapon. It's not as effective as with a shield, but you can do it. The hunting bow is slightly better than the longbow. Now, you do kind of need ranged attacks in this game. It's not something that you can really just ignore, unfortunately. So melee builds will definitely want to have access to bows or magic or something of that sort, because you will eventually, spoilers, have to fight dragons, and dragons like to fly around in the air. And short of going into the console and turning off collision detection so you can just fly around, you can't exactly go up into the air and hit them with your hammer while they're flying. The way to get through enemy blocks is to use power attacks. Power attacks are basically just attacks where you hold down the attack button. They cost stamina to use, but they're more powerful, and like I said, they will get through blocks. Wait, why does this... I think this guy's friend shot him with an arrow. So Bleak Falls Barrow is probably like your first proper dungeon in the game. The Ember Shard Mine is sort of a dungeon, but not really. It's more of just a little area with bandits in it. This is a proper Nordic burial ground. You'll notice that this bandit has a modifier attached to his name. He is a bandit outlaw. And as you can see, he took quite a bit more to actually bring down than the average bandit so far. Basically, that's how you tell how strong your enemies are, by their modifier. Each class of enemy has a different set of modifiers that you can use to tell how strong they are, and it gets super confusing after a while. Once you play enough, you sort of learn to recognize what they are. Like, I think bandit goes bandit, outlaw, thug, pillager, highwayman, marauder? Something like that. Basically, the more grandiose the title, the stronger they are. That's just how it works. And this is the first of many whale, snake, hawk puzzles. I say puzzle lightly. Basically, you just need to make it so that these match the inscriptions up there. Then you use the lever, and you're done. Some of them get more complicated than that, and some of them are actually kind of difficult. Usually because the way they're presented is bad. Like, there's one particular ruin where you have to solve a riddle that's like put in a book. But the riddle doesn't actually make that much sense. So you usually just kind of have to either look it up or go for trial and error with that one, unless you can sort of zero in on the logic that the writers are using, which is kind of bad.
Is someone coming? Is that you, Haknir? Bjorn? Soling?
This fight against the wounded frostbite spider can be very difficult for newer players. He does a lot of damage, and he can also poison you. Killed it! Calm down. Now, since this build is fairly optimized to wreck things, I didn't have too much trouble. But on my last character that I was just doing on my own time, I had some pretty significant difficulty killing that thing without getting killed myself. It has a lot of health.
Get me down! Get me down! You, over here. You did it. You killed it. Now cut me down before anything else shows up. Yes, the claw. I know how it works. The claw, the markings, the door in the Hall of Stories. I know how they all fit together. Help me down and I'll show you. You won't believe the power the Nords have hidden there. Sweet breath of Arcade, thank you.
I'm gonna go ahead and use the iron sword for this, because I don't actually want to hit him by mistake.
It's coming loose. I can feel it. You fool. What? Never should have been here.
Of course, he just runs away like an idiot. So I guess it wouldn't really matter if I hit him. I don't know. Or, well, the Swift was not that swift. So the Golden Claw is, again, the first of many different claws made out of different materials. They are all used to open up doors in Nordic ruins. Anyway, say hello to the Draugr. They are arguably the most common enemy type in the game after, like, bandits. They're just zombies. The ancient Nordic weapons they drop can be useful early in the game. They're sadly not worth very much, though. Probably to keep you from just getting rich by killing a million Draugr. Oh, this is a trap pressure plate. That's a trap. Don't step on it, or you will die. Most traps can be kind of just ignored, but these slimy gates with the spikes, those will just fucking kill you. Now, an argument I think could be made for specifically saving your level ups for the middle of tough combats, because it does heal you to full every time you level up. Let's take a point in steel smithing. Smithing perks are extremely important. Not only do they let you create new tiers of materials, now we can create steel armor for ourselves, which is better than iron armor. It also allows us to improve said armor more than we would be able to with just our basic smithing skill. This is quite important because the improve ratio is kind of ridiculous, actually. It's double of the amount of what you could do otherwise. By the way, if anybody has any questions or comments or whatever, any clarifications that I can make, please just let me know. This game does not require a lot of my mental faculties, at least at this point. Here's a fun thing that's very Bethesda. You can go into the console. Oh, that's nice. I was just seeing if it was more powerful than the Warhammer. I think that at this point, if I found an Ancient Nord Warhammer, if those exist, I think those exist, then I would actually be doing a little bit more damage with it. But what was I saying? Right. So those, like, sync kill cam moves, you can actually go into the console and disable the motion blur on those if you want to make them faster. But the thing is, in the console, that entire thing is just known as VATS. They literally just transplanted the Voltec assisted aiming system and made it into their kill cam moves for this game because fucking why not? Recycle the damn lockpicking minigame? Why not VATS too? Unfortunately, combat in Skyrim is refined enough that you don't really need... You don't really need the extra help. I've dabbled a little bit in Oblivion a while ago, a couple years ago. I got a little bit into it, kind of, but the lockpicking was really annoying. Like, I appreciate that it was more complex than what we have now. But also, it was just kind of nonsensical garbage. I like the way it looked, at least. At this part, I always get a little turned around. Despite the fact I've done this like over 10 times, I still get a little turned around at this part. When you come back up from the little depression there. Okay, I think we went the right way. Health will regenerate over time in this game, unless you're a vampire in the sunlight, in which case it won't. But it's generally a good idea to heal yourself with magic whenever you can, because that will increase your restoration skill. And restoration is basically mandatory for whatever playstyle you want, because healing yourself is important, and potions are expensive. It's like playing whack-a-mole. If I so desired, I could shoot an arrow at one of these hanging lanterns and it would fall onto the oil and would make a big fiery mess. The Ancient Nord arrow and Ancient Nord bow are actually better than what I have at the moment. By a little bit. I haven't actually used a bow since the bear thing back in Helgen, but you know, eventually it will become relevant, I promise. So basically the only functional difference, aside from a couple points of attack rating that don't really matter, between maces, axes, and swords come from these perks. We have Deep Wounds, which gives great swords a chance of doing critical damage every once in a while. Don't really like it. We have Attacks with battle axes cause extra bleeding damage, which is useful enough, I guess, but I don't think it works on a lot of enemies. Like, you can't really make a Dwemer robot bleed. And we have Skull Crusher. Attacks with warhammers ignore 25% of armor, which I think is actually just the best one. It's not very useful right now because enemies don't have much armor, but later in the game when they do, being able to ignore a good quarter of it is really useful. Alright, so the marginally cryptic little thing in Arvel's journal, the answer is in the palm of your hand, is a marginally clever little allusion to the fact that you can actually examine the dragon claw in your inventory, and you can see the symbols that need to be inputted onto the gate on the claw. So we need to go bear, moth, owl. This takes forever. Once we have the proper configuration, we slot the claw in, and the door opens. It's a neat little puzzle, but it's one that does kind of get a little overplayed by the end of the game, if you're diligent in exploring everything. This is our first word wall, where we learn words of power. Now, of course, that is kind of meaningless to us at the moment, but it will become quite important later. This is a Draugr Overlord. This is basically a boss class random enemy. It's much tougher than even the restless ones, but still not very tough. We need this dragon stone for later. Oh damn, we got a Ring of Minor Smithing already. Alright, blessed run. World record pays incoming. Just kidding, I'm not speedrunning this game. If I was, I'd probably be done by now because these games are broken as fuck and you can just like fucking back warp into Alduin's asshole or whatever. Now, you might ask yourself, why exactly did the ancient Nords always build little exit pathways in the deepest parts of their tomes and fastnesses? And I don't have an answer for you. It's true, I did not pick up plates. Not a speedrun. When you're up in the mountains like this, it doesn't hurt to keep an eye out for potions of lockpicking, or deposits. You can often find them just sticking out between the crags and the rocks if you're observant. as you're just traveling around on the Skyrim overworld, you'll often find little bits and pieces of wildlife like foxes and rabbits, mooses and elks and stuff like that. A couple varieties like wolves and bears are hostile, but most of them just kind of leave you alone. Now, corundum is very useful because you need it to make steel. It's also necessary for a couple of advanced recipes later on.
Don't die.
Oh, thank you for the donation. I will try not to die. I mean, it's kind of hard these days, but I will do my best to stay alive. Hostile wildlife is a good guilt-free source of leather.
I'm just a poor old woman, dear. No need to trouble yourself with me.
Well, that means that you are categorically not that thing. Oh no, she was actually a death witch of Hagravens. That means stealing from her is completely justified. This is, I think, also our first enchanter table? We could, if we wanted, start disenchanting things, but it's better to wait until you have the Mage Stone equipped, so you can get extra experience. You can only enchant one enchantment once, so it's important to make it count. Thanks for the follow, Math STF. I appreciate it a lot. There's also an alchemy lab here, but I think we saw one of those in the Riverwood Inn.
Fool. None.
I know your secret, I'm sorry. Now I have your clothes, too. There's also a... Yeah, there was a skill book, right. Song of the Alchemist. It's not theft if they're dead and also a witch. I don't make the rules, that's just how it works. This is our world map screen. Sometimes I feel like I spend more time here than anywhere else.
Show those thieves not to... You found it! There it is! Strange. It seems smaller than I remember. Funny thing, huh? I'm gonna put this back where it belongs. I'll never forget this. You've done a great thing for me and my sister.
To this day, I'm not quite sure why they are so obsessed with this damn claw, but...
It means so much to us to have the claw. It's a fine day around.
Well, thank you. Alright, there's one more thing I want to do before we leave Riverwood. I'm just trying to remember where to find him. It's been a while since I've done this, because I usually don't care that much. But, you know, we're doing the optimal beginner-friendly run, so...
So I'll go easy on you. But don't get on my bed.
Yes, you.
Riverwood's agreeable enough, I suppose, for a Nord village. He's a bard, so he says. Occasionally, he finds time to do his job here at the mill. Thinks his ballads and sonnets are going to convince Camilla Valerius to marry. An intelligent, beautiful woman like her wouldn't fall for that nonsense. I've been thinking, maybe Camilla needs a little help seeing Sven. Could you give her this letter and say it's from Sven? I think I've matched that Nord's lack of cleverness perfectly. All right, then.
By doing this inane little task, we get something fairly useful.
You're not from around here. That makes two of us. Another poem, I bet. What's this? If that oaf thinks all I'm going to do is stay in... You can tell Sven that he already has a mother. I'm not speaking to him anymore. Until next time.
So I don't believe you've ever even talked to Sven. He might be a great guy for all I know, but, this way is better, and I'll show you why.
Riverwood's agreeable enough, I suppose. I appreciate your help. Please, take this. Some gold I've saved up from working at the mill. Lead the way.
So now that we've helped him do shit that is completely petty and unimportant, he will now follow us to the death. Findall is probably one of the first followers you will have access to. However, it's not for his prowess in battle that we are interested in him.
Still here. I'll show you what I know.
He's also a trainer, so we can pay him money to get better at archery. You can train 5 times in a single level. It can get kind of expensive though, especially at this point in the game.
What do you want me to carry?
However, since he is a follower, I can just take the gold back that I paid him to train me.
I'll head back home if you need me.
And then you can just say goodbye and he'll stay here, and you can just talk to him again next level if you want to. Beats actually shooting things with arrows, right? So that's a neat little trick you can do. And if you like having followers, you can just take Findall with you instead of Lydia if you want. I don't like followers. Fuck them. These signposts are propped around various intersections on the Skyrim roadways. You can tell that the major cities, the capitals, are sort of in this older, scored-looking wood, and for the smaller towns, it's in white print that looks a little bit newer. That was weird. It didn't register as me being detected, but it did. Anyway, I just wanted that for the hide. Haven't run into any bears yet, so we're not exactly running over with leather. Oh god, please no. I don't install those kinds of mods. Huh? Oh, hello. Wolves are sneaky and also sometimes have jewelry for some reason. My radar shows another enemy. What's the deal? Well, I guess it doesn't matter. If they're not coming after me, I'm not fast traveling. Antlers can also be used for alchemy ingredients, but I don't actually remember if there's a useful or not. There are a lot of alchemy ingredients in this game, and most of them are bullshit.
Important deliveries to make. No time for chatting.
Okay. Have fun with that, friend. Anyway, the city over there is Whiterun. Unlike Riverwood, it's actually like a proper settlement of men. It's got walls and everything. That's how you can tell if you're moving up in the world in Skyrim. Do you have a wall? If so, we Gucci. There's a bit of a kerfuffle going on over here with the giant.
You handle yourself well. You could make for a decent shield sister.
An outsider, eh? Never heard of the Companions? An order of warriors. We are brothers and sisters in honor. And we show up to solve problems if the coin is good enough.
Not for me to say. You'll have to talk to Kodlak Whitemane up in Jorvaskar. The old man's got a good sense for people. He can look in your eyes and tell your worth. If you go to him, good luck.
Anyway, this little scripted encounter happens pretty much every time you come to Whiterun for the first... Whiterun, not Whiterun. Whiterun for the first time. It lets you know that you can... There's a faction in there called the Companions. It's basically Skyrim's versions of the Fighters Guild. I will be joining them pretty shortly here. If you don't help fighting the giant, Ayala kind of shit-talks you for doing nothing. So I shot a few arrows because I don't like getting shit-talked. That giant is kind of a freebie, but there are others that live around the Whiterun area, and they are much tougher. I would not recommend tangling with them unless you know what you're doing. You can buy a horse here, but that's kind of useless. Horses aren't that good. Yes, giants can absolutely launch you into orbit if you let them.
Take a look.
Oh, I should equip that amulet of Mara, shouldn't I? Now, the Sure Grip enchantment is actually really useful for us, but that's also more than we can comfortably afford, so I'll have to let it be. We can get some of that good skooma if we want.
May your road lead you to warm sands.
Halt! City's closed with the dragons about. Official business only. Fine. But we'll be keeping an eye on you.
I don't think I've ever actually failed that speech check. But then again, I don't actually know what governs whether you fail or pass speech checks. I mean, it's obviously your speech skill, but like there's no indication.
We'll pay whatever it takes, but we must have more swords for the Imperial soldiers.
I just can't fill an order that size on my own. Why don't you swallow that stubborn pride of yours and ask Yorland Greymane for help?
I'd sooner bend my knee to Ulfric's Stormcloak. Besides, Greymane would never make steel for the Legion.
Have it your way. I'll take the job, but don't expect a miracle.
Anyway, this is Whiterun. Whiterun, I think, is probably the nicest overall city in the game. The player home is Breezeholm, which is right over here. It's a little small, but more importantly than that, it's conveniently located. It's right next to a blacksmith. If we look at the world map, we can also see that Whiterun is kind of just in a nice central location. It's a good starting point. We also finally have something to do with all this ore we've been collecting. We can turn ore into ingots. Now, because we have a bunch of DLC installed, there's actually a bunch of stuff here that we can't really make yet for quite some time, like the bone mold armor. Veterans of Morrowind might recognize it. It's the stuff that a lot of the Dunmer guards and whatnot that work for House Redoran and stuff wear. We don't have any netch leather, so it's sort of a non-starter for us at the moment, but it's good to keep in mind. We almost have enough steel ingots for steel armor, which is a step up from iron armor. But for now, let's actually just improve what we have. That's a little bit more economical. Our smithing skill is not very high at the moment. So the improvement is not very dramatic. Let's improve the armor and the helmet and call it good for now.
Got something for just about everyone in here. Give a holler if I don't claim to be the best blacksmith in Whiterun. Jorland Greymane's got that honor. Man's steel is legendary. All I ask is a fair chance.
The finest weapons and armor.
Now, since Adrian Avenici is a blacksmith, she will not take all of our junk. We have to sell her stuff that is actually like, this is actually has something to do with your profession. Otherwise, she's not interested. So you can sell her weapons and armor and ingots and pelts and stuff, but stuff like jewelry, spellbooks, random stuff, not interested in it. This is part of the reason, I think, why it's not necessarily a good idea to pick up literally everything you find in the hopes of selling it. Merchants have a finite amount of gold, and not every merchant will take everything, so you can find yourself in this weird situation where you want to sell things but you have no buyer.
Stay sharp.
Ah, I see what you did there. Okay, now there is a bit of a reason why I am not going really hard on smithing right this instant. It will become apparent later, but for now I'm just going to try and get by with what I find.
Take a good look around. I'm sure you'll find what you're looking for. If not, everything's for... Some may call this junk. Me, I call them treasures.
Treasures.
So, Bellathor is another general goods vendor, so he will buy everything. The accumulation of gold at this point is actually fairly important. Also, buying and selling things makes your speech better.
Do come back.
Now you might notice that by doing something completely unrelated to combat, we have actually leveled up. So this is one of the big Skyrim traps. If you like to do stuff like do speech, pick locks, pick pockets, work on your crafting, then you can find yourself in the unenviable situation wherein you get your level up pretty damn high, but you don't have any combat skills to really back it up, so you find enemies to be very tough, very damaging, and difficult to kill quickly and efficiently. take champion stance. The power attack cost of stamina for two-handed weapons is pretty ridiculous.
I work for Bellathor at the general goods store.
How nice for you.
Foolish old woman. You know nothing. Nothing of our struggles, our suffering.
Nothing. And what of my son? Hmm? What of Thorold? Is he nothing? So don't talk to me about suffering.
Now, there are a bunch of miscellaneous quests you can take on in Whiterun for various people. However, the rewards are often free skill training. And if we are being optimal, then we actually want to wait to do those until much later.
I know your family's honor is important to you, but we can't afford it.
For we are the children of man, and we shall inherit both heavens and earth. And we, not the elves or their toadies, will rule Skyrim forever.
That's Heimskr. He's very excited about Talos Stormcrown.
Servants give praise, for only through your grace and benevolence.
You can pray to any shrine to any divine, or in some cases, any Daedric prince, to get a blessing and remove all diseases.
They say Helgen got hit by a dragon. One of those horrors. What would you have me do then? Nothing?
My lord, please. This is no time for rash action. I just think
What's
we
the
need
meaning of this interruption? Jarl Balgrup is not receiving visitors.
Who's this then?
Well, that explains why the guards let you in. Come on then. The Jarl will want to speak to you personally.
So, you were at Helgen. You saw this dragon with your own eyes? By Ysmir, Irileth was right. What do you say now, Proventus? Shall we continue to trust in the strength of our walls? Against the dragon?
My lord, we should send troops to Riverwood at once. It's in the most immediate danger. If that dragon is lurking in the mountains...
That is a provocation. He'll assume we're preparing to join Ulfric's side and attack him. We should not...
Enough! I'll not stand idly by while the dragon burns my hold and slaughters my people. Irileth, send a detachment to Riverwood at once.
Yes, my Jarl.
If you'll excuse me, I'll return to my duties.
That would be best. Well done. You sought me out on your own initiative. You've done Whiterun a service, and I won't forget it. Here, take this as a small token of my esteem. There is another thing you could do for me. Suitable for someone of your particular talents, perhaps. Come, let's go find Farengar, my court wizard. He's been looking into a matter related to these dragons and rumors of dragons.
Anyway, this is Jarl Balgruuf. Balgruuf the Greater. I don't know who the lesser is. You can tell he's a Jarl because he has a lot of fur in his clothes and he sits very jauntily. All the Jarls do.
Farengar, I think I found someone who can help you with your dragon project. Go ahead and fill her in with all the details.
So the Jarl thinks you can be of use to me. Oh yes, he must be referring to my research into the dragons. Yes, I could use someone to fetch something for me. Well, When I say fetch, I really mean delve into a dangerous ruin in search of an ancient stone tablet that may or may not actually be there. Straight to the point, eh? No need for tedious hows and whys. I like that. Leave those details to your betters, am I right?
I will smash your head like a cantaloupe.
Stone tablet said to be housed in Bleak Falls Barrow. A dragon stone said to contain a map of dragon burial sites. Go to Bleak Falls Barrow, find this tablet, no doubt interred in the main chamber, and bring it to me. Simplicity itself. Ah, the dragon stone of Bleak Falls Barrow. You already found it. You are cut from a different cloth than the usual brutes the Jarl foists on me. That is where your job ends and mine begins. The work of the mind, sadly undervalued in Skyrim.
Farengar. Farengar, you need to come at once. A dragon's been sighted nearby. You should come too.
A dragon? How exciting. Where was it seen? What was it doing?
This a bit more seriously if I were you. If a dragon decides to attack Whiterun, I don't know if we can stop it.
It'll be fine.
Let's go.
So, Irileth tells me you came from the Western Watchtower?
Yes, my lord.
Tell him what you told me
Brigands
about the
I
dragon.
can handle. But this talk of
Oh,
dragons?
that's right.
World's
We saw
gone
it coming
mad,
from
I
the
say.
south. It was fast. Faster than anything I've ever seen.
What did it do?
People in Skyrim are very eager to talk over each other.
No, my lord. It was just circling over.
They're a lot like Matt Rory.
I never ran so fast in my life. I thought it would come after me, for sure.
Good work, son. We'll take it from here. Head down to the barracks for some food and rest. You've earned it. Irileth, you'd better gather some guardsmen and get down there.
I've already ordered my men to muster near the main gate.
Good. Don't fail me. There's no time to stand on ceremony, my friend. I need your help again. I want you to go with Irileth and help her fight this dragon. You survived Helgen, so you have more experience with dragons than anyone else here. But I haven't forgotten the service you did for me in retrieving the dragon stone for Farengar. As a token of my esteem, I have instructed Avenici that you are now permitted to purchase property in the city. And please, accept this gift from my personal armory.
I should come along. I would very much like to see this dragon.
Oh, nice.
No, I can't afford to risk
Technically not heavy armor, but the 20% extra damage to two-handed attacks is definitely worth it.
I need you here working on ways to defend the city against these dragons.
As you command.
One last thing, Irileth. This isn't a death or glory mission. I need to know what we're dealing with.
Don't worry, my lord. I'm a soul of caution.
I'm not entirely sure why, but since I started playing again, I've been getting that weird little audio skipping thing, where sometimes part of the person's dialogue is cut off a little bit. It's annoying, but it's Skyrim. I'm lucky the whole thing isn't on fire at any given time. Anyway, we're sort of thrust into the thick of things. We go from retrieving an old artifact to actually fighting a damn dragon pretty quickly. Like in so many games, we have this unfortunate desync between how fast we run and how fast NPCs run. So, when we have to follow one like this, we kind of have to randomly stop every now and again to make sure that we don't get too far ahead or too far behind.
Husband Nazim, check the Jarl's backside. That's usually where he stuffs himself.
here's the situation. A dragon in the Western Warps Tower.
A dragon?
Now we're in for it.
You heard right. I said a dragon. I don't much care where it came from or who sent it. What I do know is that it's made the mistake of attacking Whiterun.
But Houseguard, how can we fight a dragon?
That's a fair question. None of us have ever seen a dragon before, or expected to face one in battle. But we are honor-bound to fight it, even if we fail. This dragon is threatening our homes, our families. Could you call yourselves Nords if you ran from this monster? Are you going to let me face this thing alone?
No,
so dead.
Houseguard.
But it's more than our honor at stake here. Think of it. The first dragon seen in Skyrim since the last age. The glory of killing it is ours, if you're with me. Now what do you say? Shall we go kill us a dragon?
Yeah!
Damn
Yeah.
right.
Let's move out.
I really like these guys.
To oblivion. They want to back the Stormcloaks. They'll get what's coming to them.
They have a lot more personality than most of the characters in this game, to be honest. Like the guy to the right who just says, "Oh, we're so dead." Overall, I would say that Skyrim has a pretty strong opening act, especially compared to Oblivion. In Oblivion, Patrick Stewart just kind of talks at you for a while and then dies. And then you're like, well, I guess he's dead now, time to do whatever. Join the Dark Brotherhood or whatever the fuck. But Skyrim is much more focused. It immediately gives you something of pretty important import to do. Words. I don't feel like it's actually fair to compare Morrowind, though. Morrowind sort of had its own weird thing going on. I feel like that game was much more about unraveling a mystery, so it's not as much of a... Hello? Guys, I need you to move. Bethesda NPCs, please. So as I was saying, I think that Morrowind can sort of get away with having a slower opening.
No signs of any dragon right now, but it sure looks like he's been here. I know it looks bad, but we've got to figure out what happened, and if that dragon is still skulking around somewhere. And look for survivors. We need to know what we're dealing with.
No, get back. It's still here somewhere. Crocky and Todd just got grabbed when they tried to make a run for it. Kinneret, save us. Here he comes again.
So, this is the first fight with a dragon. Dragons are, like I said earlier, a big part of the reason why you really want some form of ranged attack in this game. Working on it, Chief. this dragon is actually unique and named. His name is Murmulnir. Murmulnir. God damn it. Just when I was about to hit him in the face. But yeah, there's no guarantee that a dragon will land like that. Sometimes he will instead prefer to just sort of hover in the air and do a bombing run, which is why it's quite important to have some manner of, you know, dealing with that. Now, since you have some help with this fight, it's not nearly as hard as it could be. Also, getting lit on fire just doesn't hurt that much for whatever reason. Of course, if you just stand there and let him shoot you. It's a bit of a problem, so you should heal yourself. He's right there, dude. So with this first dragon killed, you absorb its soul, and you are automatically, it automatically just unlocks Unrelenting Force for you, which is the word of power that you picked up in the barrow. But before that, we have some looting to do. Dragon bones and dragon scales are not only very valuable, they're also very useful later in the game, so you want to pick them up whenever possible. Unfortunately, they're also super fucking heavy.
I can't believe it. You're Dragonborn. In the very oldest tales, back from when there were still dragons in Skyrim, the Dragonborn would slay dragons and steal their power. That's what you did, isn't it? Absorb the dragon's power. Well, you can shout now. You couldn't before, right? That can only mean one thing. You must be Dragonborn.
Usually there's more conversation than this. But I guess since, a lot of people died.
There weren't any dragons then, idiots. They're just coming back now for the first time in forever.
The stress has made the guard start talking to himself.
Some of you would be better off keeping quiet than flapping your gums on matters you don't know.
How did he get all the way over there?
Here's a dead dragon, and that's something I definitely understand. Now we know we can kill them, but I don't need some mythical dragonborn. Someone who can put down a dragon is more than enough for me.
You wouldn't understand, Housecar. You ain't an orc.
I've been all across Tamriel. I've seen plenty of things just as outlandish as this. I'd advise you all to trust in the strength of your sword arm over tales and legends.
That was shouting, what you just did. Must be. You really are Dragonborn.
So that honestly, the conclusion of this quest sort of marks the beginning of the game proper. Because it unlocks the whole shouting system. And also makes people shout at you. I think the first time I played this, that didn't actually happen. So when everybody started rambling about the Greybeards, I was really confused. I think it's because I fast traveled back to Whiterun instead of taking the long way.
We're causing no trouble. All we ask is to look for her. We will be back. This is not over.
The guards are having some trouble today.
We're looking for someone in Whiterun. A woman. She is likely not... We are not welcome here in Whiterun. So we will be in Rorikstead if you learn anything.
Well, that's just a random side quest you can do if you want. There's nothing really important about it.
Need something?
Ysmir, you did it! You killed the dragon.
You're finally here. The Jarl's been waiting for you.
You heard the summons. What else could it mean?
The Greybeards.
We were just talking about you. My brother needs a word with you.
So what happened at the watchtower? Was the dragon there? I knew I could count on Irileth, but there must be more to it than that. So it's true. The Greybeards really were summoning you. Masters of the Way of the Voice. They live in seclusion high on the slopes of the throat of the world. The Dragonborn is said to be uniquely gifted in the voice.
Trying not to just mindlessly skip through all this.
Into a thume or shout.
It's not a bad story. It's just one that I've been through 1,000 times.
How to use your gift.
Didn't you hear the thundering sound as you returned to Whiterun? That was the voice of the Greybeards, summoning you to High Hrothgar. This hasn't happened in centuries, at least. Not since Tibeseptim himself was summoned when he was still Talos of Atmora.
Rungar, calm yourself. What does any of this Nord nonsense have to do with our friend here? Capable as she may be, I don't see any signs of her being this, Dragonborn.
Nord nonsense? Why, you puffed up ignorant. These are our sacred traditions that go back to the founding of the First Empire.
Hrongar, Don't be so hard on Avenici.
I meant no disrespect, of course.
I think he meant disrespect, to be honest.
What do these Greybeards want with her?
That's the Greybeards' business, not ours. Whatever happened when you killed that dragon, it revealed something in you, and the Greybeards heard it. If they think you're Dragonborn, who are we to argue? You'd better get up to High Hrothgar immediately. There's no refusing the summons of the Greybeards. It's a tremendous honor. I envy you know, to climb the 7,000 steps again. I made the pilgrimage once. Did you know that? High Hrothgar is a very peaceful place. Very disconnected from the troubles of this world. I wonder that the Greybeards even notice what's going on down here. They haven't seemed to care before. No matter. Go to High Hrothgar. Learn what the Greybeards can teach you. You've done a great service for me and my city, Dragonborn. By my right as Jarl, I name you Thane of Whiterun. It's the greatest honor that's within my power to grant. I assign you Lydia as a personal housecarl. And this weapon, I'll also notify my guard. We are honored to have you. Back to business, Proventus. We still have a city to defend.
Yes, my lord.
The Jarl has appointed me to be your housecarl. It's an honor to serve you. The Jarl has recognized you as a person of great importance in the Hold. A hero. The title of Thane is an honor. A gift for your service. Guards will know to look. As my Thane, I'm sworn to your service.
Alright, that's nice. Goodbye. Talk to you later.
All you own.
There's been talk of gods that you are Dragonborn. But such a thing surely is not possible.
Alright, so this is probably the first major split decision that we have to make in this optimized run-through. Do we immediately go to finish the Way of the Voice, or do we join the companions first? I haven't agonized, that's a little bit much, but I have thought about this for some time, and I think that a compromise is probably best.
Welcome. Let me know if you want anything. Think I got a clean mug around here somewhere. I enjoy this work well enough, but I'm ready to retire. I've been thinking of selling the inn to Isolda. Anyway, what do you need? I assume you saw the Gildergreen? Big tree. It's part of the Temple of Kinnereth. Have you seen that shrine of Asura? They say the Dark Elves built it after the... People say there is someone in Riften that can... The companions? In Jorvaskr? They're recruiting new members from what I hear. Here, take a look at this. Some of the Jarl's men came by and left this bounty letter. Sure thing, it's yours for a day. I'll show you to your room, right this way.
Now that we've got a bunch of miscellaneous stuff in our quest log, I think it would be a good idea to refresh the well-rested buff. Make it so it's morning, so everybody's out and about and we can interact with them without, you know, breaking and entering.
Let me know if there's anything else you need.
The Whiterun is terrible. Shameful is what it is. The guards in this city are all lazy and undisciplined. Things need to change.
I mean, they did go out and help me kill a dragon. That's gotta count for something.
Got something for just about everybody in here. Everything's for sale. Some may call this junk. Me, I call them treasures.
for the time being, it's better to sell your dragon stuff for the money than to hoard it because you have nowhere to put it. And like I mentioned before, it is fucking heavy.
Do come back.
So, selling it off to Bellathor, who is, I think, the only one around here who will buy it, is probably the best course of action because our big goal, for the time being, is to raise 5,000 gold septims to buy Breeze Home. Or, more accurately, to buy access to the chests within Breeze Home so that we might store our junk. I generally like to do this before I go gallivanting off to see the Greybeards because, you know, you pick up stuff on your journey that you want to keep and save for later. And I have tried putting stuff in, like, the storage space that you get when you join guilds. But a lot of the time when I do that, it ends up mysteriously disappearing and I'm not into it.
Are those two at it again? Come on now. Watch the footwork. Keep your balance.
Come on! Die, damn you! Get him! Just keep swinging!
Well, that's very nice. What we really want to do is find Codlack Whitemane so we can join the companions.
Dear, you want to talk to one of the companions, I'm sure.
But I still hear the call of the blood.
We all do. It is our burden to bear. But we can overcome.
You have my brother and I, obviously. But I don't know if the rest will go along quite so easily.
Leave that to me. A stranger comes to our hall. Would you now? Here, let me have a look at you. Yes, perhaps. A certain strength of spirit.
Master, you're not truly considering accepting her.
I am nobody's master, Vilkas. And last I checked, we had some empty beds in Jorvaskr for those with a fire burning in their hearts.
Apologies. But perhaps this isn't the time. I've never even heard of this outsider.
Sometimes the famous come to us. Sometimes men and women come to us to seek their fame. It makes no difference. What matters is their heart.
And their arm.
Of course. How are you in battle, girl? That may be so. This is Vilkas. He will test your arm. Vilkas, take her out to the yard and see what she can do.
Aye.
So, the companions, in addition to being the... Why the fuck do you have a Daedra heart sitting on a plate? Okay, sorry. That threw me for a loop.
You want to talk to one of
The companions are the Fight Snatchy Nord Guild.
I've been tending to the warriors of Jorvaskr for as long as I can remember.
So, if you're interested mostly in, you know, hitting things, then they are a good join. But they are also uniquely situated in, like, the very early game, and you get the most out of it, I think, if you join them early. Now, joining the companions does not, at all, prevent you from joining other guilds.
Have a look at you. So, let's do this. Just have a few swings at me so I can see your form. Don't worry, I can take it.
Never should have come here.
Might just make it.
Pretty good arm you have there. Not bad. Next time won't be so easy. You might just make it. But for now, you're still a whelp to us, new blood. So you do what we tell you. Here's my sword. Go take it up to Yorland to have it sharpened. And be careful. It's probably worth more than you are.
I mean, at this point in the game, that might be true. That might actually be true. I have been diligent about saving up money, but still not a lot yet.
What brings you here? I'm guessing you're the newcomer then. Oh, don't worry too much about it. They were all whelps once. They just might not like to talk about it. And don't always just do what you're told. Nobody rules anybody in the companions. Not actually a companion myself, but none of them know how to work a forge properly, and I'm honored to serve them. My name is Eorlin Greymane. I work the Skyforge. Best steel in all of Skyrim. All of Tamriel. Well, I'm not sure how they've managed it, but they have. No leader since Ysgramor. Kodlak is the Harbinger, and he's a sort of advisor for the whole group, but every man is his own. Every woman her own. I have a favor to ask. I've been working on a shield for Aela. My wife is in mourning, and I need to get back to her soon. I'd be much obliged if you could take this to Aela for me. Well done.
No reason to be a dick. Quick aside, I do have a mod installed here for the complete Skyforge. In the vanilla game, it's missing a couple of useful facilities, such as a smelter, and I think a workbench. So if you want to use this as your primary smithing hub, which you can definitely do, it looks cool, I would recommend installing that. Otherwise, you'll have to go carting stuff down back to War Maidens. My other file that I'm playing recently has a bug wherein Heimskr says nothing at all. At first I was pleased, but then I started to miss it a little bit. Good old Heimskr. Never change.
Oh, I'm just a servant, dear. You want to talk to me?
If you wish to hunt with me, your feet need to be quick and your eyes quicker. Ah, good. I've been waiting for this. Good to see you made it up here.
You know this one? I saw her training in the yard with Vilkis.
Ah, yes. I heard you gave him quite a thrashing.
Don't let Vilkis catch you saying that.
Do you think you could handle Vilkis in a real fight? Ha! A woman who lets her actions speak for her. I knew there was something I liked about you.
At this point, Vilkis could probably kick my butt, if he actually, swung his sword.
Farkas. Did you call me?
Of course we did, Icebrain. Show this new blood where the rest of the whelps sleep.
New blood? Oh, I remember you. Come on, follow me. Haven't seen your face before. I'm watching you. Skjor and Aela like to tease me, but they're good people. They challenge us to be our best. Nice face around. It gets boring here sometimes. I hope we keep you. This can be a rough life. The quarters are up here. Just pick a bed and fall in it when you're tired. Tilma will keep the place clean. She always has. Alright, so here you are. Looks like the others are eager to meet you. Come to me or Aela if you're looking for work. Once you've made a bit of a name for yourself, Skjor and Vilkis might have things for you to do. Good luck. Welcome to the Companions. By the way, if you're looking for something to do, we've gotten a letter about someone needing some muscle right here in Whiterun Hold. I don't know what the fight is about, and that's not our business anyway. I just need you to go out there, look tough, and scare this milk drinker into submission. No more than that. I don't want to hear about a killing, understand? Try not to get carried away. By the way, if you're looking for something to do, Skjor says that I have the strength of Ysgramor, and my brother, smarts.
So this is like the communal sleeping area for the new recruits. Any of the beds is open.
Recruit, right? Wait, is that right?
You can talk to them if you want, but they don't have much interesting to say. I usually forget about this place entirely and just rent a room at the inn.
See what they're brewing up. You can smell the honey on the wind.
Now, you may be noticing that with my improved skill books mod, I have been picking up skill books and not reading them. There's a reason for this. Skills take progressively more actions and use to level up as they get higher, which makes sense, I guess. So hold on a sec. I don't know how this interacts with thievery. Okay, they don't care. Anyway, so you want to save your skill books until later, when you will get more out of them. Because right now, when I swing my hammer around, I'm basically getting a level up every couple of kills. Later, that will slow down.
Some people don't think smart. Those people.
Talos, Talos, Talos!
And we, not the elves or their toadies, will rule Skyrim.
The Blessing of Talos is actually probably the most useful one in my opinion. It decreases the cooldown that you have between shouts by 20%. It's pretty significant. Shouts are free, but they, like I said, have a cooldown.
Tell me, do you believe in mighty Arche, god of life and death? I'm glad to know that because I need your help. You see, I've lost something precious. My amulet of Arche. It's the source of my divine powers and also a sacred badge of office. I misplaced it in the catacombs. I'd look for it, but I have been hearing noises down there. I fear the dead have become restless. Without that amulet, I'm powerless to confront them. Would you be willing to search for it? I'll just wait here and make sure nothing foul escapes the catacombs.
This is just a quick little side quest you can do for a little bit of money. I like to do it. It's fun. Because you get to beat up some skeletons. This guy had some stuff. They usually don't. Skeletons don't tend to carry much because, you know, skeletons. Another nice thing about the pick up skill books instead of immediately reading them mod is that it lets you not randomly level up skills you're not interested in. Which, as I mentioned before, can be a problem. Oh, and there's this fucking thing. Alright, so that's a Stone of Baranzaya. It's part of a huge side quest that spans basically the whole game, where you have to pick up 23 more of those fucking stones and then set them on a crown, join the Thieves Guild, and get a buff that makes you find more gems. It's not worth it. Like, the buff is pretty good, it's just not fucking worth it. I forget which room the amulet is in. It's one of these. I think I might have actually just got wrapped up in talking about things and missed it in the other room. Or not? Oh, there it is. It was hidden beneath the flowers. It's a quest that you can do if you want, but it's definitely not anywhere near optimal. It's only really useful if you want to be the richest motherfucker in the world. Like, I'm talking, owns all the player available housing, wears suits of solid gold, is kind of rich.
I'm a bit overwhelmed, as are the... Oh, thank Archay! Please, take this gold for your troubles. The blessing of Archay be upon you.
It's not a lot of gold. But that skeleton had some nice stuff, so who can complain?
Welcome, child. The Gildergreen, yes. It's a bit of an eyesore at the moment. More of a problem for the pilgrims than for me, but not many of them around anymore. To the east of here is a hidden grove where the Eldergleam resides. It's the oldest living thing in Skyrim, maybe all of Tamriel. Our tree here in the city was grown from a cutting of that tree. You can... Even its name is an echo. I've thought about that. I think if we had some of this... But even if you could get to the Eldergleam, you couldn't tap it. Eldergleam is older than metal, from a time before men or elves. To even affect it, you'll have to deal with the Hagrave. It's called Nettlebane. Your spirit is... It's held in a Hagraven nest called Orphan Rock.
I'm just starting a couple of miscellaneous quests here. Nothing! Okay, apparently I have to beat her up? That's weird.
Looking for my husband, Nazim? Check the Jarl's backside. That's usually where he stuffs himself these days. You can't scare me into submission. Let's go. Come on. Let's see what you're made of. Damn you!
Yeah, this is definitely a Skyrim fistfight.
You're tougher than you look. You got me fair and square. Fine. I'll take care of it. Just please leave me alone.
Usually the companion sends you out to, like, go kill a bear or something.
Some people don't think I'm smart. You seem to have a knack for this kind of thing. I'll make sure people in charge know. Skjor was looking for you earlier. Don't know. I don't like making him angry, but there is some work for you if you want it.
I've been tending to the warriors of your Vasker for as long as I can remember.
Shit, he might have been upstairs. I hate this place! It's impossible to tell where anybody is. Oh, he's outside. Crafty bastard. How dare you hide from me?
There you are. I did. Your time, it seems, has come. Last week, a scholar came to us. He said he knew where we could find another fragment of Wuthrad. He seemed a fool to me, but if he's right, the honor of the companions demand that we seek it out. There's a fine line between respect and bootlicking, new blood. But I like your spirit. We've decided this will be your trial. Farkas will be... He'll answer any questions you have. Try not to disappoint, or to get him killed.
So I beat up a random lady in the street, and now I'm retrieving the fragment of a legendary weapon. The companions are a little weird.
I hope you've readied yourself. So I'm told. Let's see if you impress. Ysgramor was the hero who started the companions. Wuthrad was his weapon. He came from the ancient homeland and killed all the elves. But not all of them, because some of them are still here.
He only killed most of the elves.
I watch you to make sure you're honorable. If you are honorable and strong, then I can call you sister. A smart man came and told us about a blade piece. Skjor thinks you should find it, and I'm supposed to watch you. Don't delay, shield sister.
Alright, so this is our first proper companion's quest. We need to go find Dustman's Cairn.
Treat yourself and your kin to a choice cut of steak or a tender rack of ribs.
This is basically where the real loop of the game starts. You go to town, you sell some stuff, you pick up some quests, you turn in some quests. Then you go out into Skyrim, you explore, you find dungeons, and you find stuff to sell. And in doing so, you level up. Nothing particularly mind-blowing about it, but it's certainly fun. Oh, I also have a mod installed that tells you what kind of ore a mine will give you. I think it's pretty useful. An interesting thing about this game is that, while you're not really expected to be like a bare-fisted fighter ever, the game has like put in a bunch of kill cam stuff for dynamic kills with bare fists. It's kind of strange that they would go to all that effort. The lady in the lake. There are a couple of enchantments that you can put on your armor to make your unarmed attacks stronger. And I believe there is a heavy armor perk that will also make them stronger. But it's one of those things where you really have to ask yourself, why am I doing this? Now, I would like to actually let these dudes go when they ask for mercy, but you can't actually do that, because they will just, like, in a couple seconds get up back on their feet and start shooting you again. Now, while the Whiterun guards seem to think that my new shout was like a huge deal... Hello?
Take this and hold on to it. I'll be back for it later. I'll pay you good. Don't lose it. No time to talk. Snitch or double-cross me and I'll kill you. I mean it. Guess it's all clear now.
Okay. What was I talking about? This game has a tendency to just sort of have random shit happen, and then you kind of forget what you were doing because of it. Shouting, right, shouting. The very first shout you get, the first word of Unrelenting Force, is kind of underwhelming. It has a short cooldown, and you can use it to slightly stagger people that, you shoot it at. But it won't really accomplish much on its own. Shouts become progressively more powerful the more words you learn in them, and they generally only really do shit when,
See someone run past just now. Yes. How did you get this? Never mind. Here. It's not much, but it's something. I'm going to track down that thief and murder him. Please don't kill me. We're routed. I know I heard something.
I think the fugitive just died to bandits. He's not very good at this. Wait, no, he died to fucking skeevers? What the fuck is this skeever doing? I have to take out this menace to the countryside. I guess I'll take the Iron Battle Axe of Souls. Both of the people who wanted it are dead now because the fucking skeever murdered them. It's less powerful than what I was using, but it's worth showing off the enchantment, I think.
Is someone there? Looky here. Looks like we got ourselves a hero.
Though, admittedly, it's sort of useless if I'm fighting big. Because at this point in the game, I don't have any black soul gems. Never mind, back to the Warhammer. I'm still kind of silently losing my shit about how that skeever just up and killed 2 people. Gold, 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 making good progress on the Breeze Home front. Alright, our objective is due west from here. Trapping souls is a useful and lucrative activity, but it does require the proper equipment, and we don't have that just yet. There is a special rule in effect about trapping souls, and that is, no matter how weak a human is, it needs a black soul gem to contain its soul. No other soul gem will do. To compensate for that, all human souls are like the strongest soul that you can get for enchanting. So if you have a supply of black soul stones, gems, soul stones are Diablo, I think. What? I'm trying to explain things, you stupid dog. So yes, if you have a supply of black soul stones, then getting high quality souls is very easy. You just go and soul trap a bunch of shitty bandits. Now, of course, I don't really like doing this because you are basically condemning them to an eternity of torment, and that seems a little disproportional. Oh no, there's a place where people that get trapped in black soul stones go, and we visit it, and it's very unpleasant. Fuck lockpicking. run into like one master lock and you get like a shit ton of experience for it, and it's never useful. I mean, in the end, it doesn't matter. Because they are fake people with fake souls in a fake world. Oh, Farkas, hello.
Looks like someone's been digging here, and recently. Tread lightly.
That will come in useful later.
Be careful around the burial stones. I'll haul you back to your bed.
Farkas, please! I don't want to fail this quest because you ran into my Warhammer. In fact, I'm going to make a quick save just so that doesn't happen. Is looting the dead honorable, I wonder? Now this is sort of annoying because you have to do it to progress.
Now look what you got yourself into. No worries, just sit tight. I'll find the release. What was that?
It's time to die, dog. We knew you'd be coming here. Your mistake, companion.
Which one is that?
Doesn't matter. Where's that armor? Dies.
Killing you will make for an...
It's just normal steel armor, dude.
None of you will be alive to tell it.
So yeah, the companions are werewolves. Also, I have a mod installed that makes werewolves look less stupid. I really don't like the way they look in vanilla. They don't look like wolves. They look like fucking shitty bat things.
I hope I didn't scare you. It's a blessing given to some of us. We can be like wild. eyes on... We should keep moving. Still the Trogger to worry about.
Alright, so these dinguses are the Silver Hand. They hate werewolves. They like to use silver because, you know, werewolves don't like silver. They're worth a decent amount of money, the silver swords and whatnot, but they're not very good because, you know, silver isn't like a good thing to make a weapon out of for the most part. It's kind of a soft metal.
I'll fix you good.
Of course, we are coming up on our carry weight limit, so perhaps I should be a bit more judicious in what I pick up. Part of the reason that why I recommend a warrior type build for a beginner optimal run, I keep calling it for some reason, it's not really optimal, is because it lets you just upgrade health and stamina without having to worry much about magicka. That means that you are not only more durable, it also means you get to carry more, which is the really important bit. The Silverhand are also pretty rich in just like the amount of gold that they have. So as you might expect, continuing the companion's questline will make you a werewolf. It's kind of unavoidable, but there's not really a big downside to being a werewolf. It's not like being a vampire where you need to do special things. Though, the one downside it does have driving up a wall, because it keeps you from getting the well-rested bonus, so you can't boost your skill progression. Sucks, I hate it. The 20 levels in lockpicking from a single lock, because that's cool. But I will endure because I need that damn house. You need to spend even more than 5,000 to actually get it to do anything worthwhile. Actually, the Draugr don't count as people. They're undead, so their souls will actually, fit in soul gems. The effect that you get when you successfully trap a soul is quite impressive. Farkas, please! anyway, you don't necessarily have to have a weapon with a special enchantment to capture souls. There is a conjuration spell that has the same effect. It's just convenient if you get a weapon with that enchantment, if you like to use enchanted stuff a lot. Because in this game, enchanted weapons have charges. A sword will not always have the ability to capture souls, for instance. Once you use it too many times, it will run out of a charge, and you need to recharge it with a soul gem. By leveling up your enchantment skill, by disenchanting, making enchanted things, and refilling enchanted weapons, you can actually get perks and stuff that makes the whole process a little bit less arduous. Getting a head start on enchantments can make you more powerful, but it also adds another skill to bloat your total to make you higher level when you don't necessarily want to be. Getting the most out of it is also kind of a pain. Oh dear, I'm carrying too much. What can I ditch? Oh, there's gold up there. I feel like it's important to note that if you are using this stream for educational purposes, like you want to try and get into this game, but you're a little intimidated by the sheer volume of shit, that what I'm doing here, I would say is a good way to do it, but I would not recommend doing it, like, religiously. And if you're somebody that just likes and enjoys wandering around a big open world and finding shit as they go, then just kind of ignore what I'm saying and do your own thing.
Is someone there?
Looks like the Silver Hand are having some Draugr troubles. That said, there is a reason why I recommend doing this quest early on. And that is the comparative wealth. Farkas, you are not very good at this. The comparative wealth of the Silver Hand compared to other enemies in the game at this point is considerable, and it can really give you a jump start on saving up for a house. also a curiously good source of potions of cure disease, which is definitely a useful thing to have on you. I guess it's because, like, they want to cure lycanthropy if they catch it, but in this game anyway, you can't really catch it. It's something you sort of have to... Leveling up stamina again because I want to carry more. Go ahead and put a point in overdraw. Now, if I was being, like, really super optimal anal about all of this, after every level up, I would go back to Find All and level up my archery. However, I think that might actually be a little bit too excessive. And it's sort of out of the way, too, so... You can do it if you want. Alright, looks like I've still got some soul gems to fill. Potions of cure disease are useful primarily because animals can actually give you disease when you fight them. Like the dreaded ataxia or rock joint. You can cure diseases easily enough by praying at a shrine, but sometimes you're in the middle of the wilderness and you don't have a shrine handy. So potion will help you out. You can also make your own using charred skeeter hide and something else. I don't remember. Where was the way out? Help! I'm lost! I started talking about curing disease and charred skeeter hide. Alright, pull it together. This is not difficult. And I can always check the damn map. Is something bugging out, or am I just having a huge brain fart? Ah, there we are. Just having a huge brain fart. Don't mind me. It's been a while since I've streamed, so I'm not exactly at the top of my game. One thing that I want to personally be better about is using the poisons that I find. You can apply poisons to weapons to make them more powerful or give them special effects. And since you just get free frostbite venom by, you know, killing piters. Actually, I would say that the primary limitation of the two-handed weapon system is how bothered you are by going into the favorites menu. If you hate doing it all the time, then perhaps stick with a one-handed weapon.
I'm getting out of here.
So we just learned the first word of the Fire Breath shout, which is the shout that dragons are most fond of using. Your Tolshur, I believe. I think for some reason Farkas just isn't registering the Draugr as enemies. Oh no, now here he goes. Now, unlike the unrelenting force shout that we already have, the Fire Breath is about causing damage more than utility, like knocking back. As such, they tend to be more useful in the early game, which is another reason why I would recommend doing the Companion's questline earlier, because you get the nice early word for Fire Breath, where it's most useful. Sorry, it's fucking full to the britches with Draugr. And unfortunately, if you want the shortcut, you have to kill all of them. There's actually a bit of a science to getting kill cams to proc. I don't really care that much, but it's something you can look into if you find it useful or entertaining. Now, the problem with Fire Breath is that you can't get the final word to the shout until pretty far into the main quest line. So, unless you rush it, which is kind of inadvisable for a couple of reasons, you're kind of just stuck with the first two words. Frost Breath, on the other hand, can be completed at any time, so it's probably just the better overall shout, because you can get it where it's most useful early with all three words. We could go straight back to Jorvaskr, but I do want to clear out the halted stream camp first for the bounty. There's also a useful spell tomb in there. Now I am sort of playing with fire here because I don't have very much room left in my inventory, but I think that there is something that I will find in the halted stream camp that will help me with that. Well, you just phased through the wall. I would not recommend doing this usually. But I kind of want to keep my archery relevant. Hello. The hell were you doing in there? I guess the bandits had mail. Hello, Farkas. You don't have to be here if you don't want to. Oh well, it wouldn't hurt. Christ, you almost took my head off! Now, this is reason one why I came in here. Mammoth tusks. Mammoth tusks are valuable. There's also plenty of iron ore if we want it, but if I wanted it, I would probably come back. Because inventory space issues. This went sort of poorly. actually kind of be a tough fight, because they're... Ooh, Orcish Battle Axe. Does that compare with the Warhammer? It'd be good if I upgraded it, but I just don't have a lot of room at the moment. I'll make my decision in a minute. Now, it might look like I'm ridiculously over-encumbered, and I am. But, if I recall correctly, there's a potion of strength here, which will help me fix that. Well, this chest sucks. Being over-encumbered basically just means that you have to walk instead of run. And you can't fast travel, which is annoying. That's kind of the main thing. If you could still fast travel, then it'd be whatever. I actually can't remember if these stack. I don't think they do, but let's do science. They do not. Right. Science was done. I make an offering of silver swords. Okay, now we can head back. And the game can crash. Okay. Well, I guess that's a good time to stop. I'm not happy about it, but I mean, I guess. I mean, it's also very instructive, because, you know, that's just how Skyrim works. Sometimes it doesn't. Alright, well, thank you for tuning in, everyone. I had fun today. I hope everybody else did too. I would like to continue tomorrow, but I think it'll have to be a little bit later than usual. I think I'll probably aim to start at around 6 instead of 4:30, because I have some other obligations to take care of. But I'll let you know if things change. Just my Twitter will usually have anything relevant, and also a lot of stuff that's really deeply irrelevant, but you know. But yeah, thanks for watching. Let's see if we can do this again tomorrow.